on, y'all? It's your boy, J.H. Gibbons here.
And we'll see.
And welcome to yet another episode of the Acromas Podcast, episode 55. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us on YouTube right now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. So the next time you're on YouTube and you're scrolling through that feed, the Acromas Podcast will be right at the top, right where you need it to be. So you can go ahead and click on it. And most of all,
FYI, guys, it is free to do so. To do all those things, right? We talk about it all the time. So I'm going to continue to remind you about it. And we want to make sure that we let you know as well. So you can do the same. Hit that smash button, guys. Let us know you like our content. Let us know you appreciate it. We're going to keep delivering it. We're going to keep giving these gems either way, but we know that you like it, especially since it's free. So hope you enjoy it.
That's incredible. Like I said, those past weeks and even last week when I said I'm never going to say that word again. And I promise you I won't. So I'm going to stick to it. You absolutely know it. What a week it has been. Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl weekend is next weekend. We made it all the way to the end. If you are a football fan, I'm sure you're excited, especially if you're a Bengals fan or if you're a Rams fan. Now, if you're the fan of the Commanders, I don't know how excited you are for that new name. I got to say, when that name was launched, I think it was, Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't even remember. I don't even care much. But when it first came out, and mind you, it leaked before it came out. So we already knew what it was going to be. And then they had this really dull interview on TV. It was bad. It was all bad. It always is. And if you were a fan of this team for the past 30 years, you know it's all been bad. But look, let me tell you something right now. If we win a championship, I don't care what you call us. Call us the birds, call us the turds, call us whatever comes to your mind. Just make sure you put Super Bowl champions at the beginning of it. And I guarantee you the name issue will go away forever. Forever. What do you think about the name, Wilson?
I like the alternate jersey that we have. I dig the black. I did the black look to it. Yes, I'm definitely something I can see myself rocking. See myself purchasing, contributing to Commanders. That's gonna take some getting used to be honest with you. But I mean, if things are broken and now we are new, let's see what happens next year. So I'm excited about the change to see how we handle it going forward and how we command things in the league.
Hey, hashtag take command, man. It's still going. Unbelievable. So, but yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Stay positive. All you fans out there, stay positive. All the haters out there, keep hating. Done it for the past 30 years. Why stop now? We will definitely see what goes on in the 2022 season here into 2023 and see where things go. But man, like I said, what a week it has been. Last week, of course, had my wife on once again. Brianna Gibbons, thank you for stopping by. Shout out to you again. It was a wonderful episode, a lot of gems, as all of our episodes have. But trying to understand exactly, if your partner is the best partner for you. I know sometimes it's tough because you really do have to sit there and think, number one, am I making the right decision? Number two, have I made the right decision? Number three, where are we heading? Number four, can I and will I choose you every day? Will you choose me every day? And I think for that episode, we did get a lot of feedback even before it dropped and after. So, we want to thank you all for tuning into the episode, taking your Sunday out last Sunday to watch it. We had a great time filming it, running it, and getting through those conversations that were absolutely necessary. We'll see.
Yeah, it was definitely an awesome conversation to have and just kind of reflect on. Learn more about yourself in that process too, and just kind of recognize the accountability and understanding what it's like to choose a partner and recognizing is your partner the best choice for you. And ultimately, again, as we was talking about, are you the best choice for your partner as well? Because it's a decision both people are consciously making. So if you're coming from a perspective of like really trying to understand what that represents, as you learn about yourself, and you can't really go wrong in the process. You just learn, right? No losses, you learn. So we hope you enjoy it, guys.
Yep, absolutely right. That's the best L you can ever take in life is to learn. Just make sure you keep learning, make sure you're always learning. And one thing I've learned being, with my partner for over 7 years now is that there is no possible way that we could have faked what we have gotten ourselves into. Because there were so many opportunities and so many other chances that we took that either increase or decreases our chances of being with each other in general. I mean, for goodness sake, it's a long distance relationship to start off, right? All of the documentation we had to fill out for just to get here, all of those things that had to literally fall into place for this moment to happen, for us to be where we are now, took so much out of us that there was no reason for us to even try to fake something because it would be a waste of time for both of us. And we knew that if we were going to go in through this, we were going to go in through it for the long haul. So we knew that we had to be real and we have to continue to be real in order for us to make it. So today, what I wanted to go through on this Sunday, we'll see is that advice, that terrible advice of telling people to fake it until you make it. I know personally, look, I've heard it at work, and that's where my story will come from. Even before where I am working now, which look, I enjoy aspects of it, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can relate, especially because this is being called the Great Resignation. I know there are
Mhm.
people who aren't really thrilled with their occupation, who are looking for other things, and I think that is awesome because you're taking a risk, and a lot of people are getting rewarded for it, and that's great. But I think even before this pandemic started, even before the Great Resignation, there are a lot of people who thought that they needed to be a certain way or act a certain way or do certain things in order to be elevated in their occupation. I am a perfect example of that. Even before where I am now, I felt like there were certain things, there were certain boxes that I had to check. Even if those boxes weren't written down and weren't known to me, I just felt in my mind that there were certain things I had to do. There was a certain way I had to act, certain way I had to talk in order to make it, right? And
Mhm.
I gotta say, I mean, it was 4 years where I was, and look, every opportunity is a great opportunity to have because any of these places where I work, either then or now, there could have been a chance that they never took a chance on me. So I'm forever grateful to have that opportunity to have those chances. But at some point, as you're going through life or you're going through work, you know when certain things are not for you. You know when certain people are not for you. You know when certain situations don't necessarily fit your personality or your purpose. And that was the situation for me, where I was going into this not necessarily knowing what I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And I think
Mhm.
at the times people don't necessarily understand that that's okay, especially if you're just starting off in something new, especially if you're just coming out of college or you just graduated from high school, you just got your GED, you're just training, you're not going to know everything, and that is okay. And it took me a while to understand that because dude, when I graduated college and I got my first job, I actually was blessed enough to be hired even before I graduated. So I knew I was set up. I was like, yo, let's get it. I'm ready to get into it. I'm ready to graduate. Not ready to pay off these loans, but everything else, everything else I was ready for, man. I felt like I was
Mhm.
on top of the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 23, 24, and I'm about to have a career. And I was very excited about it. So I hopped in it and I jumped in, I dove in, I was really excited. And I think the thing that I did that I would look back and say, man, I wish I did something differently here is that I dove in way too quickly. I dove into the deep end and I didn't even know how to swim. And I try to fake it. I try to show as though I knew how to swim, but I couldn't even doggy paddle. And so I'm sitting here drowning while trying to tell myself that I have a floaty, right? That I have a way to keep myself floating, and I didn't. I didn't know what I was doing. I was at the time incapable of understanding, whether it's plans or jargon or any of the usual things that you will not know your first week, your first month, your first year, heck, in a new job. So the fake it till I made it came in because I really wanted to master a position I had no idea about. Um,
Mhm.
and when I was in meetings, there were certain times when I didn't ask questions because I felt if I asked the question specific to the job that I was doing, that it shows that I am incapable of doing the job that I need to do. And I know a lot of people out there are feeling that same way. So when I first got into it and I started acting as though I knew exactly what was being said to me, what was being told to me, what was being asked of me, I would make so many mistakes early on because I would fake as though I knew what I was doing. And it wasn't, looking back on it now, I would say it was intentional, even though when I was going through it, I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted to get to a point where I'm fitting in, where I look like an assistant project manager. I walk like them, I talk like them, even though I was not at that level yet, because I felt like I needed to belong. And I felt like I
Mhm.
do so many different things in order to belong, including looking the part, dressing the part, walking the part, acting the part, even though it wasn't me at all. So the one thing I can say is that taking that bad advice of faking it until you make it only creates a lot of self-doubt for you, right? It puts you in this bubble, this sort of bubble where you think that you're just not good enough to make it, or you're not as good as you thought you were, right? That's when that imposter syndrome comes in. And you feel like you are in the wrong place. You feel like, oh my God, they're gonna figure me out. I gotta run this meeting now. I don't even know how to spell construction. How am I gonna get through this? What am I gonna do? Right. So I think to if I were to tell my old self anything at all, even though I know I've learned from that point and I've been able to work through that, work through all of those difficulties, I would tell myself, do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to do what is necessary. Do not be afraid to master the small things first. Take it 1% at a time. Eventually, you'll get to where you need to be. But just fall in love with the process of learning. And that is something that I did not do when I first started, we'll see.
Mhm. That is a great reflection, Jay. To come into your own now, to recognize those those growing pains, right? Because that's what they are. When you think in the term "fake it to make it," uh, it really is, to me. It comes across from a place of insecurity, in some fashion, regardless of like what it's in reference of. A lot of times, like you put wonderfully, Jay, from like a work perspective, that is typically when you hear that term used, or in other fashions too. Relationships, you hear that used sometimes. An unhealthy relationship of any kind, um, which is or typically if there's just something you kind of don't want to do, but usually that stems from a deeper, more rooted issue of you not wanting to address something about whatever the issue at hand is, to avoid it. And again, a lot of times that represents change. So most people tend to stray away from anything that's not comfortable, that's out of the norm. Um, I myself, no different. I've experienced it in different ways. I've been told that that term, I've accepted that term at points in my life, and I just kind of rode the wave of life without actually addressing myself to make sure I'm where I need to be. And the only thing that does is hold you back from being better, um, from learning, as we were talking earlier about those L's, and just kind of readjusting your L, because you're so afraid of like uh, not being enough for whatever that is, whatever that circumstance look like for you. That term is in a more serious tone, that is used in a way that it just kind of undermines your worth, regardless of what the situation and circumstance is. It undermines it, and it's used as a coping mechanism. And a lot of the times it's not healthy. So it's another form of addiction, in my opinion. So I am conscious enough in where I am in my life now to be very wary of when those moments come and I get comfortable, and if there's something I don't want to do, address myself, ask myself why. why is this does it make sense as to why I'm not willing to apply myself enough in this area, or why I'm putting something off. So just as you did, Jay, where the fake it till you make it perspective from like work, it hindered your progression, because had you asked the questions you needed to ask, it would have accelerated your experience and growth probably exponentially. And a lot of the times we're afraid of that because we, like you said, we want to belong. We want to just automatically be where we think we're supposed to be. And that's not always the case. That's really not always the case. So from my experiences, like when I've used those terms, or I've heard it used to me as a form of acceptance, I've had shortcomings. There was never a time that I had used that term in my mind of accepting it in all seriousness, where I benefited from it. And looking back, I'm able to look and realize that I spent a good deal just accepting that. And it's not okay. It wasn't okay then. But as you stated, and being able to reflect on it, what have you learned? And once you're aware of it, because then you're accountable. We go back to that all the time, guys. Accountability is everything. You can fool the masses, but at the end of the day, when the show's over and you're taking off that mask, you can't fool yourself. So be willing to be fearless to address whatever is preventing you from moving forward to be better for you. Because again, you're not doing this for anyone else but yourself. So sometimes that term is used lighthearted. It's become a phrase where it's used lighthearted and gesture, but in all seriousness, it is something to be very wary of, and you need to check yourself and reevaluate when you are about certain important topics and situations. Being with work, if you're not happy with your job, and you have that fake it to make it mentality. Let's be real here. First and foremost, there are situations and circumstances that requires effort, requires work if you want to get out of that circumstance of not being happy where you are. Relationship is no different. You need to address yourself and where you are and recognize, are you where you need to be, albeit friendships, companionships, any kind, and be honest with yourself, even if it's just your progression in life. That term as a whole, fake it till you make it, is just hindering you. And you got to address that, or you will be where you are 30 years from now. And we don't get do-overs, right? And as we talk about all the time, with time being a luxury we can't afford, and we spend it, be sure to not spend it carelessly because you were too busy faking it to make it. So address those things. Set an action plan for yourself. Apply that 1% of effort that we talk about all the time. Adjust and use the 21-3 method to help you grow and set something in place that's going to help you address these areas, to give you tools and discipline so that you can recognize what they are. Because sometimes we don't even catch it, Jay. We don't even recognize what's happening to us because we do get caught up in the mix of life. And being caught up in the mix of life, and then you're accepting that sort of term, is not going to be beneficial to you, right? Because you start embracing that fake it till you make it mentality with everything in some fashion, right? Rather than a can-do mentality. If you tell yourself, I can't do this, then you're not going to have the confidence to try to want to do it. If you tell yourself, I'm too tired all the time, guess what? It's like you psyched yourself out. You're going to feel tired even if you're not. So you have to identify and be honest with yourself what that looks like. Maybe physically you may be taxing in the middle of exhaustion and fatigue, but your mind might be wired to get the things done, get the job done, vice versa. But if you don't identify what that looks like, then you can't begin to take the steps necessary to be better, to do better, to have that can-do attitude, to spearhead whatever you need to in life, and understand that being uncomfortable in that degree is the best thing that can happen to you, because it's almost reassurance of growth that you're gonna go through in some way. So starting a new job where you're out of your element of comfort, okay. How you view it is up to you. Perspective versus reality. So adjust your perspective so that you can shift the narrative to be the reality of your choosing. So I think, Jay, from my experiences, what you shared, I think it's really important to just be mindful that we understand what the term is, fake it till you make it. We understand what that looks like. We all go through it. We all have experienced it. And when you take a moment to do as we've done to really analyze what that looks like, now becomes the accountability aspect of this. So now what do we do to start making the steps and the changes necessary so that we can get out of that mentality? Because again, it's a mentality. If I mean, I know this is a side reference, but think again, we've been talking about Tom Brady quite a bit, right? But just a prime example of someone who you can't say has a fake it till you make it mentality, because greatness in yourself is recognized even if others around you feel don't see it, but people see it in you. So you apply that thought process to yourself first and foremost, and like a light, you're gonna shine. It's gonna radiate no matter where you go, because you're taking that step to give that 1% of hard earned effort into whatever you're doing. So again, being out of your element is okay, but use that opportunity to adjust, adapt, evolve your method, strengthen your game in any aspect of your life that you want, and choose growth. And it'll just limit that thought process, fake it till you make it, to just be a gesture, but unrelated to you, something you can laugh at. So, in all honesty, without feeling any type of way about it, but ask yourself that question: are you thinking it till you make it? I think that's the question you got to ask yourself. And if you can ask yourself that honestly, and you spot aspects about your life that we talked about, any one of those, from work, something financial, career aspirations, companionships, relationships of any kind, you can ask yourself these questions honestly, and don't look at it as a joke. Then you'll be able to know where you stand on that totem pole, what work needs to be done for yourself. So do those things, guys, and I think you'll be better for it. At least that's how I feel about it, Jay.
I couldn't agree more, man. I think the one thing that you did mention that I did hear as well, was that I think in order, I mean, you did mention Tom Brady, and to be like a Tom Brady, not only do you have to work hard to get to that point, where he was. Again, he came out, he was really good in college, but he came out sixth round pick, was not on the depth chart. Nobody knew his name. Nobody really cared. And to get to the point where he is now retired, 7 Super Bowls later, it's sometimes you really got to sit down there and ask yourself, did that really happen? To be honest, just as a fan of the sport and just sports in general, that is incredible in the sport, as physical, and tough as football is. But you gotta know that Tom Brady was very interested in what he was doing. I think that's lost. That's a lost art in what a lot of us do now, and I think that comes hand in hand with faking until you make it. You're not loving what you do. The thing that you want to do is not in line with your purpose, so it doesn't give you that drive to do better. You don't want to improve. You don't care to improve because you don't have an interest. You're just like, well, here I'm going to drag myself to work tomorrow, or I'm just going to walk through the motions of my relationship. Oh, here we are, another day, right? Because that interest that you thought you had in what you were doing is lost. And until you truly find something that drives you, that brings you purpose, I think that is the only time where you will honestly be happy with what you're doing in life, is when you understand that purpose. And when you do, you no longer have to fake it. You are your authentic self, because this is what you are interested in doing. This is where you are going. This is what you were doing, is what you were born to do. And once you figure that out, once you find that out, I can guarantee you it gets so much easier to do the difficult things. It gets so much easier to wake up at 5 a.m. It gets so much easier to drive through the snow to get to work, right? It gets so much easier to love your partner because you choose your partner every single day. All of those other things fall into place when you understand where you're going. If you do not have a direction, you do not have a purpose, and you're not where you know where you're going, you're just a ship out in sea, just riding the waves. And that in of itself is frightening, because you don't know what to expect next. You have no idea what's to come. So I think what you said was really well said, Will See. I truly believe that you have to stop and think, okay, is this where I want to be in my life? Is this what I want to be doing in my life? Why is it that I have to put on this facade, this charade every single day when I go to work, or when I see my partner, or with that, whatever I'm doing, in order to feel like I belong, instead of actually belonging to something that I love, something that drives me, something that has purpose in my life. So I think that's very important for you to be asking yourself at this time is, am I doing the right thing? What am I actually faking? What is making for me? Is it getting a promotion? Is it getting paid more? Is it figuring out exactly what my purpose is? What is that make it? Because if you're faking it the whole time and there is no destination to make, then you're just living a life of being fake and there's nowhere else to go. So make sure that you understand exactly what your purpose is. Make sure you understand where you want to go, even if the situation right now is just a situation, it's just a season, it's a stopping point, and you know exactly where you want to go from where you are. That would help you get closer to where you want to be. So we'll see. I mean, I gotta say that for all of those out there, anyone who's listening in our Chromis community, just let us know exactly what that fake it until you make it story was for you. Now that you understand exactly what it looks like, now that you understand why it is actually bad advice to take, now that you understand what you should do instead, what does that look like for you? How did you end up? Where are you now? Have you grown from where you started? Have you gone beyond that fake it till you make it stage into where you're like, I'm loving what I'm doing and I want more of it? So it's the best story that we get on that. The best story that we get will be featured on the Chromis episode for next week, and it'll also be featured on our page for the Chromis podcast. So we'll see. I got to say, this was a really good conversation. I think part of that earlier on, at least what we were both able to get out in terms of understanding where we were prior to now where we are now. I think it was important for our community to hear it. And I think the one takeaway you can leave with this is knowing that the advice of faking it until you make it is bad. You should not have to fake your life if you understand your purpose, if you understand your interests and you're following those goals that you have.
I think that was a great recap, Jay. Again, guys, accountability. It goes simply as that accountability. And are you ready for that growth and that work that's required? Because again, it's all up to you and how you perceive yourself. And while you may have a support system and everything behind you that want to see you succeed and see you uplifted, what do you want to do with that for yourself? Because again, as we express ourselves in our stories, guys, um, faking it until you make it is not going to get you anywhere. Like, look, I spent a good portion of my life in certain aspects of it, just kind of applying that stigma until I woke up and realized that I needed to make the adjustments necessary so that I won't live that way, it won't be that way. And it shows visually, it shows spiritually, it shows metamorphosis of being willing to apply that change and growth once accountability set in. And once I recognized it. So fake it till you make it. It's not a term that I've applied to me in my life or choose to. And I'm conscious to be aware of it at all times so I don't allow that to become a thing again. So again, as Jay put wonderfully, we like to hear from you now. We like to know what those stories, and even if it's something that you may be aware of, maybe you're looking for an extra, tip or two directly from us, or just from the community. Again, we're just here to just share our growth and journey together, experiences, and learn from one another. So don't be afraid to embrace change, because change can bring upon the best thing for you that's meant for you because you choose it. So that's just kind of what I see, how I feel. It's what Jay has feel, and growth is a beautiful thing if you allow it to flourish. It can be a beautiful thing.
Amen to that, brother. And I gotta say, man, I think when it comes to growth, there's so much involved, right? Besides you taking it upon yourself to grow, I think another aspect of that is being in an environment where you can grow. Because there are a lot of times in our lives where we may not be around the best sets of people based on where we want to go, based on what we believe our purposes are. Um, there may be environments where it's just not conducive to growth in general. So I think for our next episode, it's very important that we do dive into our own community a little bit, being that it is Black History Month, being that we are two Black individuals running this podcast, growing this community. I think it's important that we take a step in our own community, to call out a few things that we believe could not just help out our community, but help communities of the future, help communities outside of our own. So next week on the next episode of your Chromas podcast, I want to be able to touch on leaving a negative lifestyle behind, and just, provide 5 tips that our community can use to leave a troubled environment permanently. Because again, as we just mentioned, I think growth, when it comes to growth, you have to be an environment that will help you. You have to be around certain people that will hold you accountable. You have to be around an environment that will allow you to grow and allow you to share your tips and your strategies and your story with others so that they may grow along with you. So I think where we are in this month and where we are in general in society, I think it's a very important topic for us to touch base on. Do you agree? We'll see.
Totally. This upcoming episode is definitely going to be an emotional roller coaster for both of us, especially as two young Black men in America, and the experiences that we've had growing up. And yeah, I mean, we're safe for what needs to be said for that episode, but I believe you can expect more of a more of a serious tone and just understanding, because we want you to understand a representation of what it could look like, and what real accountability and growth has to happen, and reflection to understand where you've been is not where you have to remain in your life, wherever you are at this point in time. So it's a conversation I can't wait to get into with you, Jay, and with the community, and just reflect, especially with Black History Month, and the importance of what it represents for you and me and everyone out there just like us.
I can't wait to dive in. Look, everyone, enjoy your Sunday. We want to thank you once again for taking this time out to watch the Achromas podcast. Look, I know some of you might be new to the Achromas podcast, so I'll welcome. This is your very first time. I know you're in, at episode 55, and we are glad that you're here. But for those of you who have been here before and you still do not know what we are about, allow me to help you out yet again.
Break it down, Jay.
ACHROMOUS. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok. And of course, if you are watching this, you are probably watching this from YouTube. If you are, I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell. And I want you to also hit that like button. See, the next time that you hop on YouTube, you will be looking at your feed and you will see a new episode of the Achromas podcast, which will ensure you that you will never miss another one again. And most of all,
it is free to do so.
Oh
do all
God.
those things. Oh yeah. We can't end this without letting everyone know it's free to do so. It's not too many things we get free that can be considered a luxury. This is one of them. Your future self will thank you now. So please make sure to subscribe, guys. Hit that smash button, like our content, hit that notification bell, turn it on so that you can get everything that we drop to you first.
Absolutely. Look, once again, we are thankful that you were able to join us this Sunday. And be sure to tune in next Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy J.H. Gibbons here.
We'll see.